Hey there, brave souls. Welcome to LS Horror Stories, where the eerie and the unexplained come to life. If you dare, hit that subscribe button and prepare for a journey into the unknown. Tonight, we're diving deep into chilling tales that will haunt your thoughts long after the lights go out. So, turn off the lights, settle in, and let's uncover the darkness together. SCP-049 is an entity unlike any other in the SCP Foundation's archives. Its obsession with the so-called pestilence and its chilling cures make it one of the most feared SCPs. The more we learn about SCP-049, the more we realize just how little we understand about the nature of its mission, or the disease it claims to fight. The silence in Site-19 was unnerving, but Dr. Eleanor Rhodes was used to it. After working within the Foundation for nearly a decade, she had grown accustomed to the eerie quiet that haunted the facility's endless halls. Tonight, however, felt different. She felt a heavy tension in the air as though something was watching from the shadows. Dr. Rhodes had been summoned for an emergency containment evaluation of SCP-049. She had always felt uneasy around the entity known as the Plague Doctor. Tall, shrouded in its long, dark robes, and wearing an eerie, bird-like mask, SCP-049 was one of the most enigmatic and dangerous creatures housed within the Foundation. Despite its cold, clinical speech and old-fashioned mannerisms, Rhodes knew that at its core, SCP-049 was nothing short of a walking nightmare. It believed itself to be a healer, but in its twisted perception, all humans were infected with a pestilence. And its cure? A brutal surgical procedure that left its victims as hollow, reanimated corpses. Arriving at Containment Chamber 49, Rhodes swiped her keycard and entered, the heavy door sliding shut with a hiss behind her. The room was dimly lit, with sterile white walls that reflected a faint glow from overhead lights. SCP-049 sat in the center, motionless, as though waiting. Its hands, gloved in cracked leather, were folded neatly in its lap. It turned its masked face toward her as she entered. "Ah, Doctor," it greeted, its voice rich and almost comforting. "You've come. How fortuitous." Rhodes suppressed a shiver. She had been in the presence of SCP-049 before, but something about its demeanor this evening set her teeth on edge. "I'm here for your evaluation, SCP-049, she said firmly, pulling out her tablet to take notes. The entity tilted its head. "You needn't worry. My work is nearly complete. The cure is close at hand." Rhodes tapped at her tablet. "And what cure would that be?" "The cure for the pestilence, of course. It is spreading again. Surely you have seen it, Doctor. The signs are all around us. The corruption of flesh, the sickness in the mind. But fret not, for I will save humanity." She glanced up from her notes, meeting the cold, empty eyes of the bird mask. "There's no pestilence, SCP-049. We've tested, we've monitored, and there's no evidence of any disease." The Plague Doctor stood, its robes billowing slightly as it moved toward her. Rhodes instinctively took a step back. "You do not see it because you are infected, Dr. Rhodes," SCP-049 said softly, the edge of its voice sharpening. "It clouds your judgment, makes you blind to the truth. But I can help you. I can cleanse you." Her heart pounded in her chest, but she maintained her composure. "I am not infected. There is no infection. You're delusional, 049. The creature paused, its masked face hovering inches from hers. She could hear its labored breathing through the mask's filter. "Delusional?" it whispered. "No, Doctor. I see clearly. And you will too once I have cured you." Before she could react, SCP-049's hand shot out, grasping her wrist in a vice-like grip. She cried out in pain, dropping her tablet. Panic surged through her as she struggled to free herself, but SCP-049's strength was unnatural. "Let me go!" she shouted, her voice trembling with fear. "The procedure must begin immediately. You are more advanced in your infection than I anticipated. We must act swiftly." Rhodes struggled harder, her mind racing for a way out. She had seen what SCP-049 did to its victims. their lifeless eyes, their soulless movements. She would not become one of them. She wouldn't let him cure her. SCP-049, release me now. This is a direct order. Her voice wavered as the entity began pulling her toward a table in the corner of the room. But SCP-049 did not obey. Instead, it calmly dragged her toward the surgical instruments neatly arranged on the table. Its grip tightened, and Rhodes felt the cold sting of fear settle deep into her bones. Desperate, she reached for her emergency transponder, slamming the button. Alarms blared, red lights flashing across the chamber. Backup would be here soon, if she could just hold on. But SCP-049 was undeterred. It laid her on the table, pinning her down with surprising ease. Do not fear, Doctor. This will all be over soon. You will be free of the pestilence. You will be perfect. Rhodes' eyes widened in horror as the plague doctor reached for a scalpel. The blade glinted menacingly under the dim lights, and she screamed. The door to the chamber burst open just as SCP-049 raised the scalpel above her. Armed security personnel flooded the room, shouting commands, weapons drawn. But the plague doctor remained focused on its patient, its masked face never turning from hers. Hold fire, one of the guards shouted. Don't hit the doctor. Rhodes was barely aware of the commotion as adrenaline coursed through her veins. With one final surge of strength, she managed to twist her body, knocking the scalpel from SCP-049's hand. It clattered to the floor, and for the first time, the creature seemed to hesitate. Stop this madness. 049, Rhodes cried, her voice hoarse from screaming. There is no pestilence. SCP-049 stepped back, its head tilting as though considering her words. The guards moved in, quickly restraining the entity, pulling it away from her. As they dragged it back to its holding cell, SCP-049's voice echoed in the chamber, soft but filled with a chilling certainty. You are all infected, it murmured. You cannot escape the pestilence. I will save you, all of you. Rhodes lay on the table, gasping for breath, her heart pounding in her chest. She had narrowly escaped, but she knew it was only temporary. SCP-049 was relentless, convinced of its mission to cure humanity, and it would never stop. As the guards secured SCP-049 in its containment cell, Rhodes sat up, trembling. The flashing red lights and blaring alarms faded, replaced by a suffocating silence. She knew that the plague doctor would never stop believing in the pestilence. And, deep down, she couldn't shake the horrifying thought that maybe, just maybe, it was right. In the cold, sterile halls of Site-19, the plague continued to spread, unseen, unfelt, and unacknowledged. And SCP-049 waited, patient and determined, to cure them all. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on all things creepy. And as always, if you have a horror story of your own, feel free to share it in the comments below.